And here we are live. How you doing? It's a red and blue day. So, can always be worse, you know? This Christmas, um, I've been here at up at the school, John's school, and I've been here pretty much on and off since late October, right? So, about 2 months. And, being John's friend, being John's guest, um, and, I know John pretty well. So, whatever mood he's in, I'm his friend. So, I don't take it personally, and I kind of accept whatever it is, and I try to navigate to the best a port available, right? Um, and so I put John on the airplane to see his kids last Sunday. And then I went to church, I went to the Salvation Army, and they had a really beautiful Christmas thing. They didn't have Christmas on Christmas, a twitch. And so that Sunday, what they did, which was kind of nice, was you got there early, and everyone got fuzzy pajamas to take home. And they decorated a tree in the upstairs dining room, and they had a nice breakfast, right? Christmas breakfast. And they had a tree, and they had bags of presents for every child. And there was like, I don't know, 50 kids, and everyone got a pair of pajamas. I came a little late, so I didn't get a pair of pajamas. But I did my Al Bob thing, and was sitting around, and the kids would go, "Are you Santa Claus?" And I'd give them this no, I'm Bob, Santa's younger brother, Bob Claus, yes. And so I saw all the kids rolling around on the floor and just running around and just having a great old time and making just the most amount of havoc and screaming and yelling and just having a good old time. And the parents are there, and they're like either a little out of sorts or they're not. And I kind of went around and talked to everyone and see who they were and how they were feeling and what was going on, and let me read your palm. And it was really nice, you know. Then we went down to church, and they had a nativity little play and a this and a that, and it was very nice, and a lot of music and singing, and it was very nice. And then I went over to one of the hospitals that Salvation Army goes and visits. That I've been there, and visited a number of people who no one was going to come see them, and I made them happy, right? And then that was Sunday. Monday, Christmas Eve, it was a beautiful day, and I just stayed up on the hill, and the hill kind of woke up. And I was so happy I kind of went out there and kind of played. It was like a puppy dog, And it was kind of like how yesterday we went to the sanctuary of your own choosing, and your guides came with you, and they all went swimming, and while you guys all went into the fairyland through the crack in the tree of life, they all had a great old time. And then when you came back, they were like, "Oh, they're back," and they kind of got back into their being your guide, but they were having a great time. And so that's how the hill was. So I had an amazing Christmas Eve, and I read the Dickens Christmas Carol, and then while I was reading it, I said, I'm going to ask Alexis, and she played it and performed it. It was great, and I was sitting in the kitchen, and the sun was coming in, and I was like a cat being warmed, and I made myself tea, and I was drinking eggnog, and I made myself a few little specialities, nothing big, just something enjoyable. and that satiated me. So I didn't have to eat tons, just that little bit, because that's how you keep losing weight. Just enjoy food. You just don't eat, to fill the hole here, right? So, and that was a great evening. And then I kind of did a chat with you guys, and you seemed to enjoy that. And I did a daytime chat and a nighttime chat and a guided meditation, and it was all good. And then Sunday, or I mean Tuesday, Christmas, it was again another beautiful day, and I enjoyed it, and that was all good. And then Wednesday, the day after, I went down because I hadn't been downtown, and I wanted to buy some Christmas lights. And like I'm under a, a this red flood. Instead of costing $19, it only cost me $2.50, right? Which is probably what it cost Lowe's to buy and put up on that shelf. But anyway, and I just saw everyone rushing around, and it was so me, grab, 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 and it was like every place was just, every parking lot was, packed to the gills. And, I went into my favorite IHOP, and the line was around the place. Normally I go there, there's nobody there. And it was just amazing. And all the different places I went was like that. So I just said around 3 o'clock, I said, okay, I'm just going to go home. And again, I made myself a nice little thing and shared it with the hill. Then, John calls and says, I'm coming home today, which was Thursday. And so I said, okay, when are you going to come back? I said, well, so anyway, I prepared a really nice dinner because I thought he'd be coming home and been on the airplane and be hungry. And I made a really beautiful stew. It was onion and bean stew. And I made a stir fry with a kind of Manhattan clam chowder kind of base, tomatoey, carrots, and I had a can of clams, and made it kind of a little bit of spicy. And I had um, I bought on sale a while back a buffalo steak, and so I kind of sauteed that and then cut it up in little pieces, and then made like a real brown, deep, oniony buffalo steak gravy, and rice pilaf, right? So you had rice pilaf, buffalo steak gravy, stir fry, and the stew. And anyway, I waited around, and he didn't show up, so I went to sleep around 11:30, and he came later than that, and I don't know what he did, but early in the morning, he said, "You gotta get out. You're making me anxious. I can't take it. It's all your fault. Everything's your fault." And I was like, "Really?" And it's raining cats and dogs. So I said, I think I'm going to make you breakfast. You're hungry. Here, let's make you breakfast. So I made him breakfast, and he was like, "Wow, this is great," because I took the the rice and the stir fry and the gravy, and mixed them together, and I had some polenta, and so it was kind of corny rice, that, and then made it into an omelet, and then gave it to him. "Oh, this is really good." And then he kind of went upstairs. It's raining cats and dogs, and then he said, "I want to take my dad's car back home. Can you drive behind me and take me back up here?" I said, "Sure." So I did that. And then the time coming back, all he could say is how terrible I was and how I had to get out. And his anxiety was all my fault. Now, he didn't look at the fact that he just spent 4 or 5 days with his ex and the kids, and all that family that he doesn't want to be with, and he's staying in a terrible place, and he had to take airplanes, and he can't stand that, and he hasn't really been able to eat anything, and he's been drinking a lot of coffee. Does that come into the equation? No, I'm terrible, and I had to get out. So I spent 10 hours bringing him to a point of where he could kind of see stuff, and then 2 seconds later, it was back to, I had to, And then I said, John, I just have to lie down. And so I go, and then he comes back and apologized and said, oh, it's because I've been drinking. So I said, okay, Now I know all of this, so I don't take it personally. I don't get angry. I don't get upset. He's my friend. I am there for him. But 10 hours was like, so, and then he went on. I had to get out and I'm excited, right? And it's like, then another 2 hours and got, right? And I went and took a nap and then he came and apologized and then went back to it again. It was like, so obvious, who knows where I'm going to be tomorrow. And the fact, and I said, John, I can't. He wanted, it was like cats and dogs training. I have all of $40 to my name, right? Until I get my next Social Security check of $460 a week from this Wednesday. And I said, I had to stay until then. Not, right? And so, then I spent another, and kind of, oh, well, okay. And, he says, oh, you can stay as long as you want. But, 20 seconds later, it's like I'm a terrible person again. So, two things. One, I want to say, guys, I need some help. I need some money, because I'm, and if anyone wants to come and get me and take me someplace warm, please. So, get a hold of me at thedudewake42 at Gmail. And, you can send anything you want to Western Union, and I'm in Roanoke, Virginia, and it'll be there tomorrow if we put it in tomorrow. And just email me at thedudewake42 the code number so I can collect it. But I need some help. I'm like, I'm very good at living on nothing. And I'm very good because, and this is what our little story tonight is going to be about, is about living on nothing, being responsible, and being empathetic to others. And because what I see, and what is the title of this one? Things can always be worse. Now, I've traveled the world and I've lived in countries war-torn. I've been in places that had martial law. I've been in places where, the banks closed, the gas pumps stopped, electricity turned off for a year. One day everything's fine, and then regime change and put the fear of God in the folk. They did that, right? And the only thing that got me through any of that kind of stuff was I was always empathetic to everyone. I never got angry. I always listened and cared about what everyone told me. And I built whatever community I could at the moment, right there and then. And I always had plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And one didn't work, I went to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's how I have survived to this life, to this year, to this age, right? And I've had an amazingly blessed, great, deep life, and I never got stuck. And see, that's, we are expecting a safe port, but we're dragging our anchor. So we're not going anywhere. We're not making the port, We're burning up the engines, And people I see expecting a different outcome, but after 8 years of doing the same thing over and over and over, they expect a different outcome. And that's never going to happen, We have to be able to navigate, right? And we also have to care enough to help our friends, right? Now, I've helped John for the last 2.5 years, and John sees me, as taking advantage of him, It's truly amazing, and that's because he takes advantage of himself. Everything that he blames on other people, he's doing to himself. But again, John is the canary in the coal mine. He's a great example of what our society is doing to itself, And so, again, I need some help. So, anyone can put some money into a Western Union and send it to Al, you know, D. Martino, Al. And, just email me at the, what the number of that is, or you can send whatever you want. And a number of you've been very sweet and sent things to my P.O. Box, P.O. Box 1165, Vinton, Virginia 24179 in Virginia, Vinton, Virginia, Vinton, Virginia. So I could really use some help here, and I don't really, have false, humility, no, not false. Yeah, I don't have false humility or, no. My teachers have always told me that I can't charge for what I do, but I can ask for a gratuity. So, back to the dynamic of things can always be worse. So I'm here, I'm watching the news feeds and earthquakes and tsunamis and end of times of our political system. And no, I'm a student of history. This is nothing compared to go to the ninth century. The plagues. This is nothing, right? Or the Catholic Church for 900 years keeping humanity stupid. No one could learn how to read or write for 900 years. Suicide, insane. It creates much more pain. Yes, exactly. You know, I hear people, oh, my life sucks, I'm going to kill myself. I hear John saying that a zillion times a day. Now, I'm a shrink, at least trained one, that, when people tell you that, they're just looking for attention. They're never going to do it. At least 9 out of 10 won't do it. And that one who does, it's usually a mistake. He's going to do something to get some attention, and he expects somebody to come home, and they're like, the car broke down, stuff like that. And John isn't a bad person. He's actually a very fine person. John isn't a mean person. He's actually a very kind person. But John has got his anchor stuck. And when you do that for most of your life, and you just have the same thing over and over and over again, you become what is known as neurotic. And that's what the powers that shouldn't be have been doing for the last 200 years, forcing the population, the sheeple, into living in a state of fear. I mean, if I was scared of everything that's going wrong in my life, I would have died 40 years ago, just of fear. But I don't know. When you die 6 times, and I forgot who said this, but it's out of Princess Bride. Oh, he's dead, but not all dead. He's just somewhat dead. And that was kind of where I was those 6 times. So, okay, let's see. Let's read. You guys have been chatting good, which I love when you chat here. Hello, love and nice everybody. If your palm reading experience, have you ever met anyone with hair pumps? Of course. You deal with enough people, you meet everybody. I mean, look at Robin Williams. Yes, it's making you anxious. Just think how I'm dealing with it. But it's a pause. Hey guys, give me the heads up that I rebooted into stress can kill you, right? And that's why I don't stress myself, man. Living as a homeless, sensei, that could stress you out. Yes, there's no escaping yourself. And I was trying to explain to John about how, you know, in this part of my life, I'm trying to become a person of egoless ego. Now, we're all human beings, and our avatars are bagged water, which basically makes us have an ego. But we don't have to wear it on our sleeve, you know? And we can, by being empathetic and not looking as the other as a threat, but as your brother, as all our relations, that's what enables you. And when you get rid of your ego, it allows your higher consciousness to take its place. Boop, 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 boop. Yep. So I'm online, right, guys? You're still hearing me. So how So here we're talking about stress and all of this stuff, and what have I been for at least 30 years of my life? The minister of fun, until I looked into my linguistic book and saw that minister of fun means the person of dogma of total control. And I said, oops, got to find another. And that's why I'm really very choosy about what words I use, right? And in my old age, I get choosier and choosier because, good thoughts bring good words, bring good actions, good deeds, good outcomes. Bad thoughts, like anxiety, oh, they're getting me, oh, it's all their fault, lead to bad, words, like all the wrong things. Boy, you smell, you're ugly. It's amazing when I see people who actually have someone on their arm and they diss them, tell them how stupid or ugly or, their pits smell or they're not brushing their teeth no. Well, I'm with a woman. I'm telling that woman how beautiful, how gorgeous, how smart, because I'm not going to be with a woman who isn't beautiful, gorgeous, and smart, It's, I'll be nice to everybody, but I don't have to be intimate with everybody. And one of the beauties of aging, certain hormones go away, and estrogen, and what's the one that guys have? Yeah, I think guys have too much. They don't have enough estrogen. Um, Testosterone. I save my testosterone for when it's like a good time. It's like water skiing. I love to water ski, but I'm not going to do it because of my ankles, unless. So, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about making you guys happy. That's what makes me happy, not getting off. You know. Joni Mitchell, yes. Um, I told John a story. John would just, whenever I tell a story, he has got his little camera out. It took me about 10 stories to realize that he actually took them, made them in something, put it on his channel, and monetized it. And never told me about it until I noticed it, right? I said, oh, and then I said, no, I'm not going to do that again. And then he got really, oh, please, 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 right? So, and I still do it because I have to say, I wouldn't have this channel if John hadn't been that cheeky monkey. And the stories I tell are there for you, my beloved. Not, yeah, I don't care that it's John's, it's like my show on John's, it's like being on, I Love Lucy on CBS. It was I Love Lucy, not CBS. So. And she was smart enough, and Desi was really a businessman. He was the first guy to get the TV guys not just to pay them for acting, but they produced the show themselves, and they rented the show to CBS and owned it, and so they got all the rights in reruns. Right? What are gins? I think you're speaking of. They are a certain cultural thing for a genie. A jinn is a genie in the context of a certain North African culture, right? And it's more Persian. Jinn is more Persian, and A djinn is more, oh, almost kind of like a leprechaun. I guess a leprechaun would almost be a djinn because they kind of hoodwink you, you know, and get you to do things you don't want to do with them offering you a pot of gold or something, right? So that's kind of a djinn. Whereas a genie, you get a hold of their thing and rub it. They gotta give you three wishes, but you got to be careful about those wishes because you got to really think it out. Like a Go player, and a Go is like a 15 dimension thing of chest, right? So you really got to think about the thing you ask because usually, you know, um, the things you ask for have a unexpected consequence. Like the character, oh, I wish I had this, and then, he wanted a horse, so he gets a horse, and horse falls over and crushes his leg, so now he can't walk. Oh, I wish my legs would be better. So, his son dies, so he can get his. You got to watch out for those unexpected consequences. So, bedazzled. Yeah, that's the heater. Sound like acorns. Acorns rusting on. And when Dickens describes food, whoa! He introduces the ghost of Christmas Present, who's a kind of buff guy with a garland, and he's got his chest open, and he's sitting on a throne of food. That's one nice menu there. Yep, yep, yep. Exactly. I mean, there's no upside to suicide, no matter how much you're suffering, right? I mean, now, if you're gonna die of cancer or something really nasty, and you're in those last unbelievably painful throes, I could give you a right, okay, but even that, I because I've been through so much pain, medical issues, da 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 da, that and how I got through them all was to always look on the sunny side of the. Monty Python. They really really should have a whole. They're like so, guys. Do you know what Hollywood's about? It's Hollywood, meaning the tree holly bush, right? The wood of that bush, and all magic wands are made from Hollywood. It's magic. And it's, magic wands are kind of like hydrogen bombs. Hydrogen bomb is set off by an atomic bomb, but it has cores of lithium and all other kinds of exotic isotopes to make it do a dimensional thing. So you got a magic wand made from Hollywood, and inside of it you got things like hairs from a unicorn or a dragon's. There's it's just like a hydrogen bomb, right? So Hollywood is this place that is a magic wand, and it's not an it's in most magic is dark magic because if you are a person co-creating in love, then you're more an alchemist because you're changing, your ugly bag of water to the golden state of your consciousness. I mean, that's alchemy, not turning lead into gold. Right now, if you tried to turn lead into gold, lead's more expensive than gold, so it wouldn't work out. Um, so Hollywood is this, and that's what. And the red carpet they go on. You know what that's about? Red carpet is when Vlad the Impaler would he would basically take anybody he didn't like. It didn't have to be an enemy, and he would get a tree, take all the branches off, put a big stake at the top of the tree, and then stick your butt into that and push you all the way down until that came out your mouth, and that's what Vlad the Impaler did, and it would make the road that. So he would do it not just one or two at a time, like hundreds of people, and so the road would be just awash with red blood and organs, and the red carpet is the physical representation of that satanic, because Vlad was quite the Satanist, um, sacrifice, you know? And all of these folks in the, powers that shouldn't be, they are these guys. They are wielding those magic, Hollywood sticks, and they are walking on the red carpet. And we have been, every element of our media is 100% that. The music, look at all these poor, MK Ultra butterflies, It's like, and the thing that will protect you from this is, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. And in every day we take the peace of the earth and make it stronger through love's co-creation. From our Father to our Mother, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. And Jesus is our only Savior, right? And who was Jesus but one heck of a party guy? What was his first miracle? His first miracle was turning water into wine at a wedding. Now, the weddings back in the day didn't last like an hour or two. They went on for weeks, right? And so when the folks would come for the party, they would come in, and there would be gigantic carafes of wine and carafes of water. Because the wedding party was not just getting drunk and having a good time. Well, they did that, but it was ceremony. And part of the ceremony is cleansing yourself. So everyone washed themselves. John the Baptist washing people's feet, that was part of that ceremony. And that's why Jesus washed John the Baptist's feet, right? And that's when John the Baptist was supposed to be the Jesus Christ, but he was a bit of an angry young man. And so when Jesus, and John saw, first he heard about Jesus and said, oh man, I got, competition. And then when he saw him, he said, oh wow, this guy's the real deal. And then when John went to wash Jesus' feet, and Jesus said, nope, and got down on his knees and washed John's feet. That's when John knew, right? So at the party, right? Jesus, like, he hasn't come out yet, right? But everyone who knows him knows, his mom, his family, Judas, his best friend, right? Know who and what he is, right? So they're at this party, and they're running, days go by, and they start to run out of wine. And the host is getting a little upset, right? And the water that's there wasn't like to put in glasses and drink. No one drank water. They'd freaking die. Everyone drank wine. That's why wine was there. It's like to save alcohol. They fermented, little buggies are dead. So the, Jesus' mom comes, hey, Jesus, they need some more wine. So he goes, oh, hey, guys, over there. See those crafts? And so they're all of, just like the wine, the water that gets used first were used in the, higher ceremonies, right? And so as the weeks go by, it's like now people who are coming off the street, their feet covered in dung, they wash their feet. So the water that Jesus used to turn into wine was dung infiltrated water, shit water, right? And she bring those over. And the guy, why do you want these and anything? Just bring them over. So they bring over, 10 or so, what's left of the shit water. And, Jesus does his thing, slaps his fingers, and takes a little cup just right. And they like nearly everyone nearly throws up. And Mary goes over and she takes a big, this is right. Then the caterers came over. Wow, this is the best. So they start, pouring the wine out, and it's the best. It's better than the beginning wine. That was the best wine of the whole party. Then the father of the bride goes, who hid this? This should have been put out first. Not now. The only people. All the really important people have left, and it's just the hangers on. And he drinks and he goes, "Wow, this is great." And he starts knocking it down, and everyone and the cast never empty, right? And so they're just and they're getting a total buzz and having a great time and losing all their inhibitions and all their angers, just like you do when I take you into state and have you put your hands onto your Akashic record on the blank page, and empty your anger, fear, anxiety, and hatred, because anxiety and hatred are the same thing. Anxiety is hatred of yourself, right? And fear is loathing of yourself. Anger is loathing of yourself, right? And they can all be put under the little heading of anxiety. So, anxiety is self-hatred, self-loathing, self-anger. And when you drank this wine, you had none of that, right? So, we're going to segue into an interesting story, right? Around 1976. And I'm like the disco dude, all the major clubs, I'm their electrician, meaning I go in, make sure, before, I go in around 7, make sure everything, no fuses are blown, all the exit lights work, all the things that if a inspector came in, they'd close it down, right? I make sure everything kind of works and all the lights are blinking and everything's fine, right? Then I go and sit down at the bar and have a drink, my usual, just a little, they have patties or a nice single malt, and I have just a little bit, not a lot, and I drink it ever so slow. And as the crowd saunters in, and the owner comes over and pats me on the back and usually gives me an envelope, and then I go on to the next club, and I hit about 6 or 7 clubs. So it's about 11 o'clock when people are starting to really come into these clubs, and my job is done. I don't need to be there because the inspectors, they don't, they come between 7 and 10. After 10, there's no inspectors coming, right? So I kind of, after 11, I go out on, and 11 o'clock is right at that interesting time where, pretty much all the shows have gotten out at 10. Most people who are going to a restaurant or a club have already gotten there. So just depending on how you time it, you can either get a cab really easy, or it might, because there are people still coming and going, it might be a hassle. Anyway, I walk out of this club, and I just walk to the curb, and a big checker cab, that's one of the big cabs, that could seat like 8 people in it, right? Not quite a limousine, and, they got rid of these things in the 80s and 90s. Anyway, this thing pulls right up, and I, he says, "Where you want to go?" And I go, "Williamsburg, Brooklyn." And usually, half the cabs don't want to go there, because then they got to come, all the way back without a fare, right? And usually, late at night, and there's 3 or 4 cab garages in that neck of the woods. So if you're lucky enough to capture a cab that's going that way anyway, and they're going home, you can get a ride, right? So I get in, he doesn't say anything, and I just sit back, and he takes off. And he's going down the thing, and we're on 8th Avenue, and the light goes green, 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 green. I mean, from red, green, 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 green. just as he's approaching the light, and he's not going too fast, he's not going too slow, and they're going, and usually the lights turn green in a whole whack, right? And then they're red, and then a whole whack. But it's going green, green. I've never seen that. I'm like clicking that. And then he comes up to a red, and the street before it, he turns left. And he goes over to Fifth Avenue. He goes down Fifth Avenue. And again, green, 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 green. Then around 16th Street, where the Con Edison building, he turns right again and goes over to the FDR Drive, gets on the FDR Drive, goes all the way, comes up the back side, and gets onto the Williamsburg Brooklyn Bridge. And it's like, we didn't, never do you go anywhere in New York without being, if you're going more than 10 blocks, you're going to be stopped by a streetlight. That's kind of how it works. But this is the first time ever I, you know, got to Williamsburg without it ever the light, and the whole time he's talking about this and that, and he's talking about stuff I'm interested in, extraterrestrials and Sumerians and ancient this, and what do you think of that, and I'm just like in agog, like I'm not saying much, I'm just amazed. And as we're going over the Williamsburg Bridge, it's summertime, and it's like, it should be dark, but the frigging, northern lights. I've never seen the frigging northern lights in New York City, but they're like right over the statue, right down kind of near the Battery and the World Trade Center, and the moon is full. I've never seen, and it's brighter than a headlight. And I look over at the World Trade Center, and way they built the two towers, the north and the south towers were offset from each other, and they were just turned a tad. So each corner, when the sun rose, the light would go up like a thermometer, and when it set, it would go down like a thermometer. It was, there were a lot of very interesting architectural nuances in those two gigantic towers. Anyway, so as I'm looking at it, the moon is like flashing on those corners of the building. And it's like, the headlight is reflecting off of that. And I'm like, I just can't. The sky is pink, and the northern lights are greenish blue, and the World Trade Center is blinking on and off on the edges. And then all of a sudden I turn around and I look uptown, and the lights start blinking off. Blink, blink, blink in different neighborhoods. And we're just getting to the top of the crescent of the Williamsburg Bridge, and all of the lights are off in all of New York City, all of Brooklyn, all of Queens, everywhere that there are no lights. And the only lights are the lights on the FDR Drive. And when we were on the FDR Drive, there wasn't any cars on it. And now that I'm, like 5 minutes later, we're on top of the bridge, and I'm looking down, and it's like bumper to bumper traffic, and the headlights are like, it looks like a snake, because it's just kind of snaking along, and I'm, and he's still going on about Mesopotamia and the different sky gods, and he's just, I'm like, right. So we go over, and he comes down, and I just gave him the address, and normally I'm a kind of backseat driver, and I'm going, turn left here, go up there, and he did everything, all the ways he turned, he did everything I would have been telling him to do, but I didn't, because I was so amazed he was doing it. And he comes off the Williamsburg Bridge, he goes across Roebling's, and then he comes down 10th Street. And Roebling's is it's where all of the housing projects were built in the 40s, and the Hasidim have taken them all over. And all the stores that are along Roebling's are these, Jewish sandwich, where you get the big sandwich and the matzo ball soup and the blintzes and all that, and the bakeries with the black and white cookies, and the more Jewish restaurants, and yes, it was definitely makabar, right? And so and what it was totally amazing. So there are no lights, and it's just the lights of the cars. And instead of riots going on, all of the Jewish guys have lifted their gates and opened them up and let the people take what they want. It's like festival because they knew they didn't do that. People would like wreck their whole place, right? And destroy it. And they are just, this is going to be good good humor, good job, good mojo for the community. They won't be as tough on the Hasidim. And everyone's eating ice cream out of the ice cream shop and eating blintzes and it was just and big thick sandwiches and there's all the shops are lit by candles and lanterns and I'm not saying anything. And this guy goes straight to my place, right? And he pulls up and I'm like, and he gets out and he comes around and he pops the trunk and he opens the door like the chauffeur should, right? And so, bottom line, he goes, listen, it's going to be a pretty crazy night. And we seem to have hit it off. I haven't said a word. And he's been like talking about stuff that I'm just going, oh, wow. And he goes, I got this bottle of wine back here. Um, you want to go up to your loft and we'll just drink the wine, and I'll sleep on your couch. And I mean, how does he even know I got a couch? Or even live in the building? I could live in, but he's walking up the steps of the loading dock. And anyway, he's ahead of me and he's got this gigantic glass urn covered in reeds, woven weeds around it. It looked like it came from Jesus's time, right? And the cork is made from cork you get from the sea. And it's probably, I don't know, 10 gallons, and a gallon is about 5 pounds. So it's like 50, 60 pounds and big, thick glass, thing must weigh 100 pounds. And he just kind of has got it under his arm. And I hadn't realized what a big guy this was. He wasn't fat or anything, but big. I mean, like, 8'9", and his arms went out another 8 foot, and he just very easily stuck this bottle under his arm. And he goes up the stairs in front of me. Now, normally that door is locked, and I got this key ring with like 10 different, I got to go through 10 doors to get to my loft, right? So I go, you know, he's in front of me. I'm like looking for the right key. It's dark. He opens the door and holds it for me. I go in. We go up the stairs. There's another place where we have to unlock. The door is open, right? And now I never go up these stairs because these stairs are disgusting. And they're 7 stories up and they're big. Each floor is about 20, 30 feet high. It's like a good hike. And no one has cleaned out this stairwell since 1942. And there's, everything disgusting you can imagine in this thing. People have done some things in this, stairwell. That's why no one goes up it. And so, so we're going up, and I'm looking down, and I see a newspaper from World War I, and I'm going, and I always have like a knapsack where I got my books and my papers and my electrical tools, and I go nowhere without it. Plus, I have a flashlight, and I'm trying to make my flashlight work. My flashlight always works. It doesn't work, and when I'm fooling around with it, he goes, "Don't worry, you won't need that." And as we go up the staircase, there's a skylight at the top, right? And that moon is placed right above it and shooting down and illuminating the whole friggin' stairwell, all 8 floors up, 80 feet climb. And I'm finding these amazing, I found a like 1890s Coca-Cola bottle, right? A World War I a newspaper of us going into World War I, and I love Ike button. I mean, all kinds of just, and I just kept sticking them in my bag. And he then started picking stuff up and handing it to me, and the whole staircase is lit up like you can't believe. And so we come out to this one hallway, and the light from the hall stairs is going into the hallway. There's no right, so I open up that door, and there's another hallway that has all these windows, and the moon has moved just enough to where the sun is. I mean, the moon is now coming through those windows, and that hallway, big long hallway, about 1,800 feet long, is illuminated, right? And we go that, and we go through a number of doors, and every door he's ahead of me, he opens it, right? I remember locking them all. But anyway, so we go there, and I walk in, and he's got candles everywhere. Now, I knew I had a few candles, but not that many candles. He's virtually lit the whole place up. And I don't know what he's done, but he's got this flute over my gas stove, and he turned on the gas burner, and it's turning that flute into a bright, one of those lanterns that you go camping with, a Coleman lantern. It's as bright as a Coleman lantern. So between the candles and that thing, it's like not a problem to get around. So he kind of, I have this kind of interesting little place, marble table and school bus benches, and we're sitting there, and he takes the jug and he goes, gets two glasses, and he glug, 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 and it's the best wine I've ever freaking had. It's almost like whiskey, right? And I'm drinking it, and it's like I'm getting really, it's like hallucinogenic. It's like some really good herb, some nice mushrooms, and it tastes amazing, and it tastes like patties. And basically, he says, it'll taste like anything you really like. And it'll give you a buzz just like you like. And don't worry about having a hangover. You will have none of the detrimental facts of that. And I'm like, again, I've hardly said anything for the last 30 minutes, right? And then he then starts to tell me all about myself. How I was born, how I almost died at birth, how I was a sick kid, everything about my life, and why I was brought on this earth, and what I'm supposed to be doing here. And it's not to be this, hipster disco dude, that I've had all these great mentors and teachers, and I've followed the path, and I've done pretty much what I was meant to do, but I was skating a bit. I mean, I'd get lazy. I wouldn't always do the ceremony. I would just do what had to be done. And he basically says, and by the way, I'm your guardian angel, you know? And that's when he put out his wings. And the glow was like, ah! And by this time, I was hallucinating. I was, not drunk, but I was on another plane of existence. And and then he then tells more deeper stories of the experiences I've had with tribal people, and the kind of shamanic things I've been through. And then he does like I do to you, and he clears me, and he puts me into my Akashic record. Now, I'd known about it. I knew how to access information, but I never, like what I do to you guys. So this is where I learned how to do that. That whole ceremony I do with you, with the breathing, and the prana, and the chi, and the visualization, the illumination, I got it from this guy, my guardian angel. And, when he put out his wings, he really stood up and his head almost went to the top of that 25-foot ceiling of my loft. He was kind of slouching in the cab. And then he puts me in, my astral plane. He brings me to my Akashic record, introduces me to my librarian, my animal totem, and my guardian angel, which is him. and puts me down in my reading table, which is my marble table with the school bus chair, right? And so he says, look at that fireplace made up of all those books. That's that flame is the eternal flame. And now, and bingo, who does drop out of the chimney but love's co-creation? And when it popped out, you know, puff of smoke and rolled out on the floor and got up, it was my angel as Santa Claus. And then he knew I liked Charles Dickens, and he did the Charles Dickens, uh, uh, you know, um, little tap dance of the Ghost of Christmas Past. And I saw all of my Christmases with my family, my father making the Sistine Chapel in the sunroom and making the all of the best memories of Christmas I see, right? And and then I'm like really weeping, weeping like I am now. I'm crying now, but I was weeping. I mean, really weeping. And he again turns into the Ghost of Christmas Present. And this is like July, or August, right? And he's he's now, the young Turk Santa, and he's got, half of my loft is full of roasts and every kind of fruit and nut and cake and pastry, and he just goes through it and picks up all the things I was thinking of. That would be, he's now starting to get a little munchies, and I'm eating that and drinking the wine, and it was like, the picnic we had last night. That's the vision that I put upon you from that evening with my guardian angel, right? And so the third ghost was not Marley. The first ghost wasn't Marley. It was Santa, as like, the Coca-Cola Santa. And then the past ghost of Christmas past, and then the present ghost. And the ghost of Christmas future wasn't death, or really a nasty thing, but it was a little child, a sweet, sweet little child that took my hand and brought me into my superconscious mind, my sanctuary of my own choosing. And one day I will share that sanctuary with you, and you've kind of seen it because all of your sanctuaries are built on the template of the one that I'm showing you. But I, again, don't describe it so you can have your own, but its foundation, its template is from that point. And at that point, love's co creation takes me to my gazebo. And instead of, doing a little process of thinking of a question, turning around and seeing, I basically am thinking, wow, I've died a few times, and this is like what heaven must be. And I turn around, and the little child is no longer there, but this light, this almost blinding, but unbelievably, it's just like when you drink the most beautiful drink you ever had, like from the wine bottle, right? And it's this light is just gets inside of you, and it's beyond orgasm, it's beyond erection, it's beyond any kind of unbelievable satiated sensibility of intimacy and connection. And again, I start weeping, and then we seem to float and fly into the clouds, right? And it's straight out of something Disneyland, up, this like yellow brick path to the Golden Gates, and we walk in. And what is heaven? over the Golden Gates, it doesn't say heaven. It says Lost Vegas, like vague, And if you go to my blogspot, xratted.blogspot.com, I have a story where I meet Bob, you know, and up in Lost Vegas, when love's co-creation wants to mingle in human form, he shows up as a he, not a she or a it, but he, Bob, as something crossed between Jesus, hipster Jesus, and and Gandalf God, right? And a little something else thrown in there from my subconscious somewhere. And so I won't go on about that because you can go and read it at my blog spot, xratted.blogspot.com. And it pretty much gives you everything you ever wanted to know theologically about existence. Very much like the meaning, what was that thing where the mice run the universe? So, I'm like just in a state of beyond confused I'm ecstatic, I'm in just amazement. And then all of a sudden, I hear and I'm sitting at my marble dining room table weeping, right? And there's a candle in front of me, and I'm just weeping, weeping. And I have been taken from this ecstasy back into my meat puppet, and I kind of faint, and my head goes right, and you can see there's a circle here. My head goes right into the candle. I get a little burnt where the flame was, but the hot wax kind of, you know, tattoos my forehead, right? And you can kind of see it. It's over 50 years ago that this happened, so or 45, but it's you can kind of see it. Anyway, and so and I had really long hair, so he kind of pulls me back by my ponytail, and he starts, scraping the hot wax off, and he's kind of a little upset. He goes, "Oh wow, that shouldn't have happened," you know, and I kind of. And I'm like, because I'm between ecstasy and stoned out of my mind, and so he, basically does this thing where he puts his palm over my forehead where the wax was, and he because I really had that hot wax was like napalm, and it really so he did this, and where I was sitting there was this gigantic mirror, so I kind of when I came up I kind of saw the wax and the little flame and my whole head burnt to a cucumber, and so he does this, and my eyes flutter like a movie, and I see my Akashic record and all of my past lives. And then my eyes pop open like Chatty Cathy, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and it's like what it is now. Meaning there's no big scar, it's red, but it's way better than it was. And I am no longer drunk out of my mind. Um, and I'm like, wow, you know. So he sits down. He goes, "Now I have a few things to tell you because why I was sent here on purpose. This is not just a circumstance. This is, you know." So he basically kind of, which Bob had already given me the 411 up in Las Vegas, right? About every why I was, what's going on, da 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 da, right? And the angel basically says, "Okay, you've seen your Akashic record, you've seen your library, you've seen your sanctuary of your own choosing, you've met um, your guides, your librarian, your animal totem, and me, your guardian angel. And because I have come to you in this form, you will be able to see me, even in the I just won't be a glowing, you know, owl because that's kind of the what he called himself. Um, but he had another Latin name. So um, basically, he gave me the 411. And again, that story is in a thing, My Swill. I think that's the name of that short story. It's about my birth and my coming from there through the period that you come from Las Vegas into uteral, into being born, and then from there. And he basically said, okay, from here on in, you have been a child of love, co-creation, and you've been in service, but you've been a child. Now you're not a child anymore. Now you're a young adult, and you have responsibilities, right? And you have a level of integrity that you need to keep. And you've had all these great teachers. You can't dishonor them by just being, a disco dude. You know, no matter how many poems you read or how many, little thing. And, I never call them miracles, but everything's a miracle. You find your car keys. That's a miracle. You put on the oven mitts and take the casserole and you don't burn your hands. That's a miracle. Everything's a miracle in this life. And that's people who want to off themselves. That's the biggest thing. They give up on that miracle of life. Folks who stick themselves in, drop their anchor and just go around and around and around and around, like that poor dog that's chained to a stake in the ground, and he goes around and around until his neck is like, and he's in torment. He doesn't realize all he has to do is go back the other way and he'll be okay, but he stays that way until he chokes himself to death. And it may, depending on if anyone saves him, it can take weeks for that kind of death. And in dog age, if a human does it, we're talking about 50, 60, 70 years of that kind of torment. And our little parakeet in the coal mine of society, that's, what they put themselves in. And no one does it. Daddy didn't do it. Mommy didn't do it. Their best friend who tries to help them and who's patient didn't do it to them. They do it to themselves, right? And as my mom would say, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So I, as your sensei Al Bob, I can't make you do anything. All I can do is open your eyes a little bit, as my guardian angel did to me in that cab that night. So, I'm still knocking down that wine, and he takes out the pipe, and we start blowing smoke rings, and again, it was supposed to be ceremony, and I had just taken off with how tasty this lamb's breath is. This is amazing, right? And I again lose conscious, but that candle isn't there anymore, so my head goes wank right onto the marble corner of the table, and all I remember is trying to get up and vomiting on myself and looking down and seeing, expecting to see vomit, but I saw brains on my shirt and blood on the floor, big lake of it. And then I fell down again, hitting my head against the concrete pillar that held up the tank that was above us. That was the water tank above where I put the marble table. And when I woke up, it was the next day. And I woke up to a waterfall of tears coming from the cheeks of my guardian angel. And he was saying, hope he's not dead, hope he's not dead, hope he's not dead. And I kind of popped my eyes open, and he goes, oh, wow. And then he hugged me and put his hands around my skull. And, I felt like I was in a toaster oven. And then I kind of, he helped me up to the couch, and I look at the mirror, and I'm wearing a skull cap of scab. And I kind of go, whoa. And he goes, oh, don't worry about that. And he just kind of puts his thumb up there, going, Pip! And knocks it off. And I am bald as I had hair down to my butt. And I was as bald as a cue ball. So, and I'm like, and so the night that I got in that cab was Friday night, right? And I see the little blinking light on my answering machine. This is back in the days of answering machines. And, I click play. And usually, I come home, I never let more than two or three, you know, recordings on there before I listen to them. Anyway, the thing goes like for 5 minutes. And I play it, and it's all my clients. Where the heck are you? Why are you supposed to be here? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm looking at it, it's daytime. I go, it's Friday, it's Saturday. No one should be mad. He goes, well, it's Thursday. I said, what? I said, I've been asleep since, yeah, you've been more than asleep. Anyway, that was another time. And then I went and looked. He had taken my shirt off, and I look at my shirt, and it is like totally covered in blood and brain matter, right? And what looked like an eyeball, and and over by the table, oh, it was just a war zone over there. And and I'm looking at him, and I said, "Moon's a balloon." Yep. He says, what's up? I said, what, you didn't clean that up? He goes, well, you had a choice here. I could have cleaned that up and you'd be deader than a doornail, or I could have spent these last 4 days, knitting every cell in your body back together. And now you're good to go, I said, was this? He goes, no, this isn't what was meant to happen, but what needed to happen. You are totally different guy. You're no longer that disco dude. You're Sensei Al Bob. I said, no, I'm not a sensei. My sensei is in Putney, Vermont. That guy's a sensei, not me. He goes, well, you'll grow into it. So I never took that, name or term, Sensei Al Bob, for another 30 years. It was always Al. So that's a story of transformation from extraordinary bliss to catastrophic death. And, I was worse than being run over by a train. I was run over by not just a guardian angel. And I learned later, he was one of the hierarchy, archangels. Anyway, and not supposed to use, it's like I don't spill the beans on people, I don't really tell, stuff about people. I may, tell a story about Jimi Hendrix or Joni Mitchell or David Bowie or even John, or, um, Woody Allen or John Lennon or Andy Warhol or any of those folks who were, part of my life, And I put John Birmingham in that crew. He could be any one of those. The only thing standing in John Birmingham's way is himself. Not his mommy, not his daddy. Definitely not me. For the last 2 years, I've been, exercising my guardian angel wings on that boy, And I still, because he is my friend and I do not give up on friends. Now I've, taken a little vacation like I spent all summer because John, gotta leave, you gotta get out. So I said, fine. So I went to the deep green and I kind of cleaned things up and made it nice so I could stay there. It was like May 1st. May Day, what better thing to do but to live in the Garden of Eden with a gigantic river in my backyard and a waterfall just over there and a tremendous lake over there and visiting animals who respect, you know. because I would leave my what do they call that stuff where you turn your vegetables over, and then they turn into really nice dirt with earthworms, and then you compost pile. I put my compost pile way over there where they could get at it with ease, and then every season I would come in the spring, and I'd put a cover over it after once winter kind of started, and let it do its thing, and the animals would come and turn it over for me, and then put the cover back on. And by spring, it would be the most lovely, unbelievable, vegetable ready earth. And I would turn that tarp over, put all that onto it, drag it over to my raised beds, and fill it up. And every time I would stay there, I would do that. And the animals took great homage because I never left food around to tempt them, like to come into my campsite. But I would leave them all of my food that I didn't eat in my compost for them to have. And so that what would they do? They would after eating it, they would just lie down, enjoy a good meal, and then take a crap on top of the corner of the compost pile, right? And then mix it up after they ate everything they could out of it, and then cover it back up. And that is the deep green. So this last summer, after being thrown out a myriad of times between that Christmas and that May, and really having some extraordinary. I mean, when John kicked me out last Christmas, almost to this day, but that day was a beautiful sunny day, and and he kicked me. He got me up at 7 in the morning. Get out, get out! And he was really. He had a hammer in his hand, and he had his Moscow bride there, who was smoking like 5 cigarettes at a time, going, "I gotta get out of here. Gotta get out of here." They he had picked her up. He wanted me to go pick her up at the D.C. airport, but he was scared that she would go away with me, so he drove and got her. And I made this big, beautiful meal. A big stuffed chicken and all kinds of vegetables and rices and nuts and cheeses and baked goods and wine. And he picked her up, put her in a car, and drove. She hadn't eaten anything from Moscow to DC, and then didn't stop to feed her. When she got, she was ravenous and just sucked everything down. It was like, this is the best food I ever. Ah! And she took that whole chicken and stuck it in her mouth, and and I made a Valentine's tart and had a bottle of champagne and chocolates, and said, you should go up to, go, John, go upstairs, take the tart and the chocolates and the champagne, and have a good evening. And, I thought that was a really sweet thing that, his friend did for him. But that next morning, he was like, you know, threw me out because he said, you're going to go after him, and, no, I had no desire, that was his Moscow bride. And, so it was a beautiful day. It was 7 in the morning. I had no idea where the heck I was going to go. I had a full tank of gas, and I had about $30. That's all. That's it. That's all I had. And I drove down the 2 mile driveway, and I stopped every place the sun would come through and be exquisite. Instead of going, oh, blah, 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 I said, thank you, John. I'm seeing this amazing thing. I've gone up and down this road, for 18 years, and I've never seen this. It was just like going up the staircase with the guardian angel. I mean, it was just like it. It was amazing. I mean, there were no newspapers, Coke bottles, or I Love Ike buttons, but they were things that, were memories. And that's what holidays are about. Not about the presents, about memories, making memories. The other, I guess it was the weekend before Christmas weekend there. I was at my one of my friends. He's a Korean guy, Mr. Moon, and he came over from Korea and got a job, washing dishes in a Jewish restaurant, matzo ball soup, bagels, the whole thing, right over on Canal Street, underneath the Manhattan Bridge. And he basically became Jewish. He didn't become Jew. He's still a Christian, Methodist from Korea. But he worked for those guys for 11 years, then bought the restaurant from them and kept that one there, and then made another one up near Times Square in the 70s when things were cheap. And he did really well. And then he got out when the getting was good in the mid 90s before the O drop when real estate was worth a fortune. And he sold both of it and came to Roanoke, bought himself a really nice house. He got himself a nice spot to build his restaurant. He has the best bagels in town. He has the best everything in town. And so he doesn't have to work that hard because the folk come to him, right? And he just kind of gets there at 5 in the morning and turns out the bagels, and he makes great bread and his everything he has. So I always have a croissant, like it's like Paris croissant, sausage, egg, and cheese, right? And he makes great potatoes and potato blintz if I really feel decadent, sour cream and applesauce. He's got really good coffee, and I sit down there, and he's got great Wi-Fi and a plug. He calls it my office, where I can plug in my phone, and I've done a few chats from there. Anyway, so I was there having that, and it was a special day. So not only did I have my egg, cheese, sausage croissant and potato blintz with sour cream and coffee, I also had one blueberry pancake, which are like, whew, they are amazing, right? And they're like unbelievable. It's like a pastry, and it's like the size of a hubcap. And he cooks it so the edge is crusty, right? And the rest is like this amazing pastry, blueberry pastry with, sour cream and cream cheese in there, right? So it's amazing. So I'm like, now I don't eat like that. I mean, last time I ate there like that was, 6 months ago. And you can have that meal if it's every 6 months. In my shape, I can't eat that meal once a week. I used to have it every day, when I was in the hood. And anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm eating it and I'm reading the Bible and I'm reading other things and I'm writing ideas for that night's chat. And that's kind of what I do, right? And I'm like looking through the internet of all the things that you folks have left me to look at. And one of the best people who leaves me things is Blue Water. She'll leave me, 10, 15 things on my Gmail. And remember, if you want to talk to me, leave your phone number at my Gmail, which is the dudeawake42 at Gmail, right? And if you want any other information about me, dudeawake at Gmail, right? And again, if you're going to send me a money order and Mr. Union, Gmail me that number. And if you want to, know more information about me, Gmail, and I'll send it to you. Okay? And again, if you want to send me something to my P.O. Box 1165, Vinton, Vinton, Virginia, 24179. So I really need help, I've got like $28, and who knows, how long I can stay here, right? And I'm just waiting for the universe. If one of you guys want to come and pick me up and take me someplace warm, if any of you want to start the circus, today is the day to do it, because we need to. That's the next thing, other than responsibility for our own lives, humility for our life, empathy for all our relations. We need to have more, not entertainment, not fun. We need to find a better word for this. Celebration, that's it. Celebration through ceremony, right? And that's what Jesus did. And he was the party guy. He was. He never scowled. The only time he ever got a little bit mad was when he threw the money changers out of the temple. And now he called himself a zealot, and all his followers were zealots. You know what that translates in Hebrew? Terrorist. But he said he was a zealot of love's co-creation. And that's what we are. We're not violent. We're not going to beat anybody up. We're not going to war. We're going to co-create with love. A new aesthetic. That's what's needed. We have, in the last 1,000 years, been pressed into, well, actually since the Council of Nicaea, about 1920, 2,000 years ago. That's when the aesthetic of fear and self-loathing, we are dirty sinners. We're not. Sorry, we're not sinners. We are love's co-creation. How can we be anything but unbelievably pure if we are done in the image and likeness of love's co-creation? Whereas, religion has us made in what we did in religion was made God, the demon, in the image and likeness of the sock puppet. Yep, jackoffs. Or as my grandma would say, frackin' morons. You know? And that's, research. That is the really weak plan of the powers that shouldn't be, of the hidden hand. And these guys are so desperate. Look what they're doing. They got control of everything in the meat pup reality, and they are like going balls to the wall because they're scared of us, this sweet little crew that, puts out picnic blankets and baskets, and when we went to Fairyland, it wasn't the scary Fairyland. That's the scary land of, it's not Fairyland, it's Scary Land of the hidden hand. It's weak but barely effective. It only works on people who are unconscious. And look what they have to do to make us unconscious. Drugs, poison, mesmerizing media, Again, Hollywood magic, dark magic, right? And when I took you to the land, the mystic school, when I took you to the mystic school, that wasn't Fairyland, or it wasn't even Hollywood. No one had, magic wands there, And I think, let's see, it's an hour and 28 minutes, and I've kind of told you a whole bunch of stories. So how about us going into state and going into our own superconscious mind, the sanctuary of our own choosing, and coming together on the meadow of all our relations and going to the tree of life and finding another little slit in the roots where the mystic school is. Instead of going through the doorway, we'd have to be taken through by, a master. And me showing you the back door into these places is showing you an opportunity to be responsible and to holding, not grasping, but holding, not control, but holding our own ego in check. The only way we can get through these cracks in the tree of life is through humility. Not fear, but love's co-creation. Not anger, but our appreciation of all our relationships, all our relations, all our cadre, all of our cadre of our adepts. Okay, so get yourself in a comfortable position where you're safe and secure. You won't fall over like I did. My guardian angel, sure, he wasn't, he didn't make sure I was in a safe place when I smashed my head into that marble table. And that's why I'm so cautious and responsible for you, my adepts. I never put you in harm's way, you know? I'm never lazy. I never shortcut anything, right? We do a ceremony of love's co-creation, and that's what protects us. We say Our Father in the Hail Mary, that's what protects us, right? And we don't count on any counterfeit God. Aho. So, everyone's comfy, in a safe position, lying down in a seat. Don't cross anything. Don't cross your legs, your arms, your eyes, your fingers, nothing. And breathe. And now that we've been doing this, it goes quicker. Right? You're breathing in 20% more. And the tiger's breath makes it a little easier because it's like a ratchet. You can get to that 20% without really running out of breath. And you can get rid of 30% of the waste of your body in a more energetic way. So all the toxins, all the things that are going to, make you diseased will be gone through your breath. Right? See it clearly. And I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And as I do, you will go deeper and deeper into a conscious state of relaxation. See it clearly. And 1, you're in a deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is going deeper and deeper into that state of relaxation. See it clearly. You're breathing in the prana and grounding it through your chi. You're breathing in the prana, the life force of the universe, the thing that gives animation to all things. See it clearly. That's what animates your avatar, your bag of water, your little mud puppet, You're breathing it in, and it's going into your lungs, and you're healing every aspect of your lungs. Any cold, any little virus, any little anything in those lungs is being healed, and you're breathing them out with your breath. The prana goes in and fills every aola, every little fiber of your lungs, right? And the blood pushes through all the veins and capillaries in your lungs, and it brings red, rich, iron, blood, which picks up energetically, electrically, the prana. And the blood, as it goes through your veins and arteries and capillaries, doesn't go glub, 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 glub. It spins. Goes clockwise and then counterclockwise inside of that and inside of that counterclockwise. That is a polyphase alternating current. See it clearly. And feel that current go through every aspect of every cell of your body. See in your imaginary mirror, you're illuminating yourself with this prana, and you're grounding yourself out in the chi of your Mother Earth. See it clearly. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and the hour of death. Amen. And Mary means Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is more energetic than any of the other planets in the solar system. Now, all those other planets have something groovy about them, have something going on, have a soul, have a karmic relativity to us. We are all our relations. And there are spirits who are on all of those planets, and also other entities, other, species. There's a moon around Venus or Jupiter that was an ice ball, right? And now it's water. And there are things swimming around inside that water, right? In 2001, I guess it was Jupiter, when the black thing told Hal, all of these are yours, you can't go to that moon, right? See all of this clearly. and you have energized yourself. You see the white light surrounding your body, flushing through your body, and you see the mitochondria electrified. As the cells split, you see that little and that right there, that current running through our bodies, just the eight of us, that current, when we come together as a cadre of adepts, we have more power than any sock puppet, more power than every, power that shouldn't be, every element of the cabal of the hidden hand is flaccid and useless. We do not have to fight. We don't have to pick up guns. We don't have to spill blood. What we do is we share love's co-creation. See it clearly. And you've taken the illumination of your imaginary mirror where you have REM sleep, where you dream, and you have focused that light, just like a flashlight, into your subconscious, which is not a scary place. Yep, the Jupiter moon. And we are walking into our Akashic record, our library of our soul's existence. And we sit down at our reading table, and to our left is our librarian, our animal totem, and our guardian angel. And our librarian brings us our Akashic record, puts it in front of us, we open it up, and on the two blank pages, we put our left hand on the left page and our right hand on the right page, and we lean into our Akashic record. And we empty all of the anger, all of the anxiety, all of the fear, all the self-hate, all the self-loathing into the Akashic record. And at this time, let us pray for John Birmingham's ability to cleanse his poor, poor self, because no one else is. We can assist with our love and our appreciation who John is, And so we put all of that angst, all that anxiousness, and we close the book, boom, and we feel light and fresh and renewed and open and loving and free and happy, and there's a smile on our face and a twinkle in our eye and a dance to our toes, and when we breathe in, all we can smell is honeysuckle and breaded toast and beautiful teas and everything else luscious. Ambrosia, that's what we smell. And on the roof of our mouths, we taste that buttery taste of that beautiful bread, buttered and sprinkled with cinnamon and sugar. We taste that. And these are the sense on our skin of silk and a light breeze in our hair. These are what our senses were designed for. Nothing of illusion, only ambrosia. See it clearly. Europa, that's the one. And we step up and we stretch and we walk over to our open doorway. That's the doorway between our superconscious mind and our subconscious mind. And right behind us is our librarian, animal totem, and guardian angel. And as we all walk over the bridge of our id, we look down at our sanctuary and we see everything there is to see there. We get a good vision of it and remember that vision. And over towards the upper eastern quadrant, where the meadow and the lake and the tree of life and the gazebo are. We walk down, our foot goes on it, we feel embraced by love's co creation, and we go over to the meadow. We spread out our picnic basket and our picnic blanket, and we lie down and we share all good things with all our relations. And we're all there together in the cosmic link of love's co creation. And we lie down and we feel that warmth of love's co creation just settle into us. And that warmth kind of melts us like butter into the earth of the meadow. And in that earth, our essence connects on a cellular level, just like your mitochondria, the little lightning bolts, they all intertwine with all your relations. See it clearly. And then we all come together, stand up, and we walk over to the tree of life that's right by the great lake, the link of all our relations, because we all came from water. We all are bags of water. See that clearly. See the connection of the great lake, the link, and the tree of life, which is all that is knowable within the context of love's co-creation with us, all our relations. See it clearly. Now you're looking at the roots, and that one little sliver is where fairyland is, and then about 60 degrees to the south is another sliver, and you walk in front of it and look straight down, and you see that it is the land of, the mystic school. It is the mystic school. And it is a land, because it represents a dynamic of life. And so we look down there and we use the telescope of our eye and we see all the way down and we see it unfold in front of us. And we follow that image all the way in. We let that golden light come up through that sliver in the root, and we are caressed by a froth, a purple froth that comforts us through the travel of one dimension to the other. And this is the back door into the mystic school, the land of the mystic school. See it clearly. And we enter into the mystic school, and we see that it's not the dark magic of Satan. We see that it's not, the magic of Hollywood, of the, magic wand. We see that it's what it is a cornucopia of all things healing, of everything, of bringing ease to the world. Not just, curing a cold, but all things diseased. And the thing at this time that is the most diseased is our body politic. And I want you to go over to that little table over there, and who is there but the old crone? And she smiles, and she gives you a little list of herbs and sends you out to the garden to pick them. I'm going to be quiet now, and you're going to read and remember that list of herbs. See it clearly. Do not forget this list. See it clearly. And you're walking out, you're in the garden, and you're looking for the herbs. Read the name of the herb, the one that the old crone used, which is more the Gaelic. And then there's also the Greek term there, if you want to look it up in some kind of medical or herb book, right? But probably both these names will be in whatever good herb book you can find at Barnes & Noble. Anyway, and so you're going through the garden, and you're seeing on the list, because it's a magical list, and it's not the magic of Satan. One man's magic is another man's science. So it's the alchemical science. So on that list, it's not only the names, but there's also a picture of it, right? And when you rub your little finger on the picture, you can smell it and taste it, right? And then when you bring your finger to the written name and you move your finger down like a cursor on the screen, it will give you a Wikipedia on everything about that herb. And as you read this, you will remember it. You will see it clearly, right? So you're in the garden and you're going through your list and and I'm going to be quiet. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You've illuminated yourself with that breath and connected every cell of your body to the great link through ingesting and digesting all of the prana of love's co-creation and grounding yourself. See yourself clear. You have emptied yourself of all the anger and fear and self-loathing into your Akashic record, and at your own convenience, you will go back and look at that and get the 411 on what's going on, right? But for now, you walked over the bridge of your id into your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing. You went over into the east to where the meadow, and you put down your blanket and your picnic basket, and you joined with all your relations, and you lie down and let love's co-creation melt you like the sun and bring a great connection between all of you, all of my adepts. See it clearly. We walked over to the tree of life right by the edge of the lake of the link, and south of the little crack of where Fairyland was, we see the Mystic School. And we've taken our telescope by and looked all the way down in there, and the great golden light has come and immersed us, and the purple froth has brought us through that crevice into the land of the Mystic School. And off in a table, you see the old crone, and you go there, each of you, and she individually gives you a list of herbs, and you go off into the garden, the herbal garden, and you go through the list, and you pick into a basket that you have, your herb basket, and you pick the herb, and you will see the name of the herb in both, Gaelic and Greek. You will see a picture of it, which you touch your finger, you can taste and smell. And then when you take the names of it and you move it down like a cursor, you'll get the Wikipedia of the 411 of everything about that herb. See it clearly. And you're going through it, and you just feel so amazing. And you take little tastes of it, and some are bitter, some are sweet, some are aromatic. With each one, you solidify in your not only head but in your CPU what the use of it is and how to muscle test, hold it strong, um, how to use that herb, right? See it clearly. All you have to do if you're out in material land and you're picking these herbs in the forest, you just have to close your eyes, take that one breath, and go bingo straight to the list. It's in your Akashic record. You don't even have to go get, you don't have to sit down. You can just go straight to the list. And practice makes perfect. The more you do this, the more you'll be able to better than Google. Because all you got to do is think of it, and it will go there, and it will be righteous because it will be communicated to you through love's co-creation. Google Glasses. Um, you know, what do they call that? Assisted reality. These, where they're going to be able to, won't even need your phone. Everything will be on the little contact lenses, or the glasses that you're wearing. No, that's satanic. The bandwidth needed for that is 5G. It's going to go straight. They're going to be reading your mind. They already are. These little cell phones are reading our minds. You know. Now, if you are living in love's co-creation, using this little screen, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop, you use any of that technology just as a hammer, not bad, you know. But if you let it in, let it take you over, which it has probably done to a good 90% of, the industrial world's population, if not more. And there are herbs in your list that will enable you to, lose weight, quit smoking, drinking, doing drugs, inappropriate anything. Um, Herbs are one of the best way to heal yourself. Intuitive wisdom. Yep, exactly, Jamie. Instantaneous knowing. You don't have to have a third party in between this. That's why I'm doing this, because you are worthy of my time and love. Now, everyone's worth my love, but, you know, the fact that you guys and gals, and when I say guys, I mean all of you, when I say gals, I mean all of you, you thirst for this, and you found me, right, in the most obtuse way, right? And and now here you are. And things are starting out slow because quality over quantity, right? And challenge, I started with the 40-day, 40 night because the challenge is right in front of us. And what better way to have everyone get up to snuff, step up. Instead of starting, Mommy, do this for me. Tie my shoelaces for me. Oh, pay my bills. Oh, take care of me. Oh, I can't stand. Oh, it's just too. No. Things can always get worse. In my life, they always have. But I've always been given the challenges that I was up for. I was never given anything. I died 6 freaking times. I was up for it. I'm not dying anymore. I don't have to die another 3 times. I don't have to go for the 9 lives. I picked up the gauntlet. I'm not going back to the swimming pool of chocolate mousse. Maybe I'll take a little swim once in a while, but not live there. And that's about life. We're supposed to enjoy all these creature comforts, but not be addicted to them. We must appreciate them, but not serve them. We must give thanks, but not be religiously, orthodoxly connected to the dogma of their brainwashing, right? And that's why I was looking for you, folk. And I found you, my adepts, all my relations. I need your help, send me some cash, my PO box, send me something through Western Union, and then get a hold of me on my Dude Awake 42 and give me the number that I can get that back. And I love it if all of you, get a hold of me on Gmail so we can talk more. I mean, I know everything on the internet is, watched by Big Brother, even on things like, your email. Look at all the poor chumps. Donnie Chump. I feel sorry for that guy. We need to pray for him not to be like, the winner of the war, him and Q. No, that's never going to happen. That's all, you know, a bait and switch used car salesman thing. He's a chump. He still thinks he's on the set of The Apprentice. You know, and we do not have to be fearful. We don't have to, with our intuitive, you know, shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemy, we can take care of business in the most loving way because we are creating with love's co-creation. See it clearly. Anyway, so there you are. You're in the, school, a mystic school. And John Boy has just come down and see if he comes crashing in. And we live in abundance, right? And I live like a millionaire on $300 um, a month. But once in a while, there comes a challenge, and this is one of them. Winter, I have to find, a way to navigate, and that's all we need to do through this seemingly horrific time is navigate. That's it. That's all we got to do. We don't have to be scared. We don't have to fight. We don't have to run. If we don't give up, we win. And the only winning is everyone wins. There is no. It's an win-win solution, right? Not just a few, right? Okay, so you've got your little lists. Roll it up, put it in your pocket, and you're going to take it back with you to the material world of illusion, and you're going to jot it down on another piece of paper, so you can have or tap it into your little tablet or phone and go see what Google has to say, because we have to mix and match this. We can't just say, oh, we're going to wait for the aliens to come and they'll take us away, or Jesus is going to turn us into jello. No, we have responsibility to all our relations, and everyone gets out alive, and we're here to be the adepts, the grown up in the room. And look at Jesus. He was the ultimate grown up in the room on the planet, and he had a good time every day. You see every picture of him. He should be black, but you see a picture of him. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always laughing. He's always holding little kids and hugging old men and curing the ill and the sick and the blind and the diseased. And we can do that, And it's not, and we're not showing off. We're not, Jesus never showed off. He wasn't showboating, My mailing address, P.O. Box, Owl, P.O. Box 1165, Vinton, Vinton, Virginia 24179. That's Owl, P.O. Box 1165, Vinton, Vinton, Virginia 24179. P.O. Box 1165 and zip code 24179 in Vinton, Virginia. And again, you can send me something via, you know, Western Union, and just send me at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail the little code number, right? And that's Al D. Martino, Martino. And it's 2 hours. Okay. So I'm going to take us back. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. Yep, P.O. Box 1165, Vinton, Virginia 24179. Yep, that's it. Yep. And I'm the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And so 3. You're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your avatar is totally relaxed, safe, and sound. All I have to do is snap my fingers, and you'll be right back in it. But for now, you're in your sanctuary of your own choosing, all of you together on the meadow that's in front of the gazebo. That's just west of where the tree of life and the lake of the link of all our relations is. The lake of the link is east of the meadow. And when you lie on your little blankie, you're lying with your head pointed east towards the tree of life. See it clearly. And you're waking up to all of you, all your relations, kind of puddled in love. And you're all interconnected within the fibers of Mother Earth. You're all grounded through your chi. Been up too much. Well, we're leaving, and we're stepping up, and we're walking to the bridge, and we're walking over the bridge of our id to our subconscious mind, and we're walking over into our subconscious, and we're there with our guides, our librarian, our animal totem, and our guardian angel. We bow with humility and grace, and then we turn. And 1. I'm going to say 1 2 more times. And 1. And the third time I say 1, I'm going to snap my fingers, and you're going to be right back here. And 1. You're back here now, safe and sound. You've had an amazing journey, and you have that little list in your pocket. Well, write it down. Yep. Sounding of the planet harmonics. Yep. The music of the spheres. Because it's connected through love's co-creation. That is instantaneous, because love's co-creation has no linear time frame. Where Einstein in physics is like, please give me a break. Bottom line, if you go and read Dickens' Christmas Carol and you see, Marley was dead, and then the Christmas goes to Christmas past, present, and future. They all occur. He's told that they'll come in separate nights, but they all occur right at the same time. There's no, Dickens knew there was no linear time. And you read all his stories, even though a lot of them go on forever because they were published in newspapers and he got paid by the line. Tale of Two Cities and Christmas Carol were written singularly, and you really understand that. And telepathy. What is telepathy but a mechanism that is not hindered by linear time, or the ugly bag of water, or the meat puppet, illusion, And that's what telepathy is. It's the heart, via the heart space. Yep. Because the beginning, the Alpha and the Omega, if we go to the Bible and read how it's put in there, it's the same. The Alpha is the Omega. It's all the same. It's all, we're here now, beginning, middle, and end. And just because we have free will, we're allowed to experience in that linear dynamic. Thus, we're given this concept of reincarnation because then it gives us in infinite numbers of shots at experiencing that whole. Because if we only had one shot, we'd only get one little slice of that pie of all our relations, right? And the only way this works is through honesty. Your heart is honest, and you co-create. The only way you can co-create with love is through honesty, not trying, not through ego. Ego, I keep talking. So we're in a bag of water, so it's kind of generically motivated by our egos, but we can have an egoless ego. And that's what all of the great masters had. Buddha, you know, Vishnu, Jesus, and all the rest all had egoless egos. And everyone who steps up to it, like Mohammed, not so much, but his grandson and granddaughter, now those two had egoless egos. You should go read the Quran about how they stepped up and got in the face of Persia. Now there's a story. Exactly. Don't hang on anything because whatever you hang on is a residue and it will taint whatever you do, you know? So you have to let everything go. And I mean, see, folks who drop their anchor and just go around in circles, they've been doing it their whole life. That's how long it takes for them to uncurl that ego driven illusion of, of, of owning something, having something, being something, you know? But if you let go of it, the nanosecond that it kind of flits by your ego, then you're not restricted by it. You're not, you know, incarcerated. Our bags of water are, oh, I have to work out. I get to get ripped. I have to lose weight. No, then you have a false idol, your body. Yeah, that's the worst. The anchor drags with no wind in the sails. Ooh, that's terrible. Leaving Jesus in the back there, wanting to water ski behind you. We are not the body. This is just an avatar. That's why that word is very good. This is really is an avatar. Self is our consciousness in somebody's server. And that's where the little disagreement is. That's where the all of the reptiles and insectoids and powers that shouldn't be and hidden hands all grasping for that immortality of love's co-creation. But they're deluded because you can't have it unless you are co-creating with love. If you're coming for ego, and Saint Germain has a great deal to say about that. And what's Elizabeth Clare Prophet, her publishing company has all those books. And the Lucas Trust or Lucent Trust or what do they call it, or the Madame Blavatsky's Theosophical Societies. What those are good for, like everything else, they're a tool. They have pretty good libraries. They have a lot of information, but do not get hooked. Do not, oh, I'm going to be a light, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be a blah, 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 blah. No. What you are is an adept of love's co-creation. And the only thing you can be is honest. Honest to your love in co-creation with love. See it clearly. So, let's see what we're talking about. God is judge of the spirit. Nature is the judge of the body. Well, again, love is the judge of the spirit. and humility is the judge of the body. It's just semantics, right? But God does mean, hooved, horned demon when you take it into Sumerian. And I don't think it's like that scene. I love that scene out of Star Trek where Spock's older brother comes to Jesus and can like wipe everyone's mind and brings them bliss, and they're going out to the ends of the universe to find God, right? So they find him, and they're all like, "Oh wow, this is love you, God, and he goes, "And you're my children, and blah blah blah, and I will take your spaceship, and we will go to all the other planets in the universe, and they will see my love." And James T. Kirk, who has always been and always will be that cheeky monkey, kind of goes, "Wait a minute." He kind of, his mind has been wiped, but he kind of goes, wait a minute. What does God need with a spaceship? Isn't he everywhere?" And he asks God that. And God gets really pissed off. Now, love doesn't get pissed off. God does. So, we just have to, syntax has a place. And in actuality, we shouldn't even be using words. We should be, transmitting the aura of love's co-creation. But because I'm on this end of the screen and I'm talking to you guys, that's why I kind of tell stories and put this stuff down. I'm glad I cracked you up. That is my main tool, cracking you up, because when I can crack you up, it cracks that armor, it cracks that shell of the hate, fear, anger, self-loathing, that 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 armor of religion's dogma of fear. So, if I can crack you up, that's what I'm here to do. Instead of the Minister of Fun, um, the George Carlin of cracking up. What they ask you when they ask, "Do you believe in God?" is, "Do you belong to our club? And if you don't, we're going to hit you with a club, or burn you at the stake, or chop your head off, or put you into a, meat grinder and turn you into McDonald's patties." And that's where they get that special sauce from. Ooh, baby, that's the way to go. Snow, place wakes you up, I like it warm, but I can be in the cold because what it does, it enables me to, I go, I'm not cold, I'm warm, I'm comfortable, and I don't have to wear a ton of clothes, to be warm, I do have my nice Carhartt jumpsuit that's quilted, that's, nice to be totally naked, and it's like silky on the inside, and I just slip right in and zip it up, and I'm good to go. Without having to find pants and a shirt that match that are clean, you know. And I have Carhartt overalls. So I put on my little Carhartt quilted shirt with a t-shirt underneath, and, I'm good to go. But I can walk out there just in a pair of shorts and I always have to put on socks, my ankle braces, and my, what do they call those shoes that are specially made to like support your feet? Um, that's really, the only thing I'm really concerned about is where my feet go. Because if I fall over, man, I could break like a teacup. And, I'd be like Humpty Dumpty, it'd be hard to put me back together again. Not really, just another ceremony, and there you go. Um, so it's 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 33 seconds. How about 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds? You can, let's see, maybe I'll go back because I wasn't. You guys have been chatting up a storm. I haven't really. Uh, hmm. Boop, 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 boop. Boy, you guys chatted up a storm here. Stress can kill. Yep. When you're super depressed or tension, it doesn't matter. Tab $2 or S2. What were you asking about Joni Mitchell? Um, Boo, boo, boo. You do it, BC. You love what a Jen, like Tip, the guy with the magic lantern. Mm. You know, I'm not a big fan of if you have to be cremated, okay. Like my dad, when my mom died in Florida, and he wanted to take her up to Long Island, and we went and saw the funeral guy, and my father said, "Well, I want to take the body up to." Um, Long Island, New York. And the guy said, well, that'd be expensive. And my dad said, well, what's expensive? And the guy says, $40,000. I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, yeah, because you're going through all these states, you got to get all these licenses and all this kind of stuff. And then, that takes weeks, and the body has to stay here, and we have to refrigerate it, and da 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 da. But the guy says, but if you cremate it, it's only $300. And my dad goes, oh, but the Catholic Church wouldn't let us do that. And the guy goes, oh, no, Catholic Church has been down with cremation for at least 40 years. Not a problem. Anyway, they were down with it way before then, like 1,000 years ago. They burned a lot of bodies, so they went against cremation. So anyway, my dad's $300, 30,000. Okay, toaster. And so, when they had to have a member of the family there before they stick her in the box and put her in the oven. You're supposed to, there's this little window that you see them take it from, that nice thing they had her in at the, sanctuary into this like cardboard box, like a shoebox, and then, roll her in to the easy bake oven. Anyway, so my father, my two sisters, oh no, we're not going to do that. So I went, and I went to, what do they have down there? The Florida nice. It's like Kroger's, it's like Ingles, it's Publix. I went to Publix and I bought all the things my mother liked. I bought her cigarettes. I bought her these little tasty cakes she liked. I bought her cream cheese. I bought her mint jelly. I bought her. She liked lamb. I said, "Do you guys have any lamb? You have any lamb cooked?" And they said, "Oh no, we don't have lamb. We have lamb chops." So I got some lamb chops, and I brought it in a picnic basket with a little picnic blanket. And I had my little then before these phones, I had a chipped video camera. Put it on a little thing, and I sat down with my mom, right, and I read her a short story of Stuart Little, and we read all of Stuart Little's stories together, and we laughed hysterically, And I brought her 3 dozen red, pink, and yellow roses. And I got a vase from the guy, and I clipped them off and put them in the vase and arranged them the way she would. Because the two things she loved to do the two most things she loved to do was read Stuart Little with me. I mean, I read it till the day she died, and she laughed. And that's what made her laugh. And she loved getting flowers and cutting them and arranging them in a vase. So I did that for her, right? And I spent a good hour there with my mom, and I ate all the things she liked that, I could eat that, weren't raw. And, I brought some booze in, and I made a Manhattan, which was her favorite. And I couldn't smoke in there, but I opened up a packet of cigarettes and kind of broke them up and kind of sprinkles them on her, which is kind of what a certain crew of indigenous people would have done. And then I held the cigarette above her and said prayers, and went into state, and she was giggling, you know, because the little tobacco cuts were kind of all over, and she was like, she was in her evening gown, and she was in her 26-year-old amazingness, and she was just giggling and drinking a Manhattan and smoking a cigarette and just smiling at me, and she gave me kisses and told me what a good boy I was, and she was proud of me, and she was sad that her and my father didn't have enough to really appreciate all the things I did for them. But it was nice to hear it from her. I mean, when my father died and went into state, all he did was sit on a rock, surrounded by the most beautiful daisies I ever saw, or buttercups, but really yellow. I mean, just a sea of yellow all the way around, and he was there like, "Oh, woe is me." And I tried to like get a hold of his attention. Now I tried to bring him into, one of those moments where we had fun. No, so, but my mom did it. So, I went out to the office, and everyone there is crying. Even the guy in the tuxedo, who looked like Lurch. And I said, "What's up?" And well, they had security cameras all over there just in case no one did anything strange. And they said that was the sweetest thing they had ever seen any child do for their deceased parent. And the woman had burnt me a CD-ROM and a VHS, right? And she just said it was so. And they had like the organ music in the back, and then they changed it to when I was talking to her about jazz, they changed it to jazz, and it was an amazing tape, and it was amazing until it got lost in the shuffle. I might find it, but I hope I find the CD-ROM because the VHS I don't know about. But and they were just so amazed. So I had to sign the little piece of paper that I was, showed them my driver's license and signed it. And we rolled my mom and they transported her into the shoebox. And then, I stand on the other side of the wall with a window and I saw, them to push the button and the little rollers rolled her in. And just when she's at the front of the the opening of the oven, like this big whoosh of gas, and they roll her in there, and like within the first second, that thing is just a toasting box of funk, and I went back to my parents, my father, and my sisters, and they were like signing documents and going through boxes of stuff. And my dad had let go of the three women who took care of my mom, and I wanted them. I asked, when I said, "Oh, I'm gonna," anyone want to go, and the woman Timothy, who was the closest to my mom, said, "I'd like to go." And my father says, "Oh no, you can't go. You're not part of the family." And that was like one of the cruelest, meanest things. This woman stayed with my mom for about 4 months and was more of a member of the family to my mother than everyone but me. So, and she was there with me when my mother died, and then came back. We said, "Come on back, you haven't had the last rites." I said, "Oh yeah, I haven't had the last rites." So she came back, and so there's more to life than being famous, more to life than getting laid, more to life than having the fancy car, the trophy, spouse, billions. Oh, sorry, because I've already gone past 2222. So there I was in last about tomorrow's going to be Saturday, 2 weeks ago tomorrow. I was at Mr. Moon's having my favorite big time breakfast that I haven't had for 6 months, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm reading and thinking and listening and watching the internet and talking to people on the phone because he's got great Wi-Fi and a great phone signal. And there are places full of people, and I watch people and I listen to their conversations because when I say, that person needs me to talk to them, and I'll say, hey, let me read your palm. And because I've been listening and watching their body language, I know them like a book. So I can give them that little mystic, ooh, wow, read their palm, and they'll go, oh, wow, he knows me. He knows blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I see this couple, and the guy's pretty good looking. He's probably in his 60s. He's got a swell back, which is called a dentist back, right? And because he's like doing this for the last, he's very meticulous, and he has jewelry, and I can tell that he made that jewelry. So, and his wife, she's in her 50s, but she's still very attractive, right? And she hasn't let herself go to pot out. Oh, the Christmas, this is the day they're going to do all the shopping, and Bobby wants the laptop and wants and they're going to spend a couple grand on each of their kids and their grandkids and all the above, right? So these people got money. And so the guy goes to use the facilities, and the woman's there, and I go, let me look at your palm, and I give her a reading, and she's like, wow. And so she, once I start doing it, she gets up, from her seat and kind of gets closer and closer, thinking that the closer I look at her palm, I'll see more. Well, not, I've already figured out who she is, so I'm just, picking up, you know, crumbs off her palm. But anyway, I really give her the full Monty of telling her everything. I mean, deep stuff, her childhood, how she got along with her mother, her father, her brothers, her sisters, last husband, her kids, everybody was just giving it to her, and she was like crying and weeping and just like hugging me, and the guy comes in, and there's his wife hugging and kissing and crying, and he's pretty cool, so he doesn't scream and yell and jump up and down. He goes, and she goes, you have to have him read your palm, and so I do. Anyway, so they start going, wow, and their relationship and what they're doing together and how lucky they are. He's in their 60s, both in really good health. They both have some money. They both can quit their job and have a life. And I said, and this is what you need to do. Forget going shopping, and what you already bought, keep in the garage. There's a place about 20 miles from here called Peaks of Otter, and they have a inn there, very beautiful. It's got about 50 rooms that are really great, really big, really spacious. They all look out on a lake. They all have a glassed-in sunroom with chairs, and you can get rooms and all the rooms are kind of interconnected. They got doors, and all those sunrooms are the same, and you can like move them back. So I would suggest you got 6 kids, get 6 rooms or more, and have them all together. And when are they showing up? The day before Christmas Eve, Sunday, Saturday. Have them, and you have them all go up there. And you get the Christmas package, which is the day before Christmas Eve, Christmas, the day after Christmas, you leave. And you get, a breakfast, a lunch, and an amazing dinner each. And the Christmas Eve dinner and the Christmas dinner are off the charts, right? And if you get the full package, it'll be really amazingly affordable. And so I'm going on about what you need to do is make a memory. Forget, the toys will be forgotten before they even get batteries. But if you do this, everyone in your family, and you're bringing your blended family, this is the first time everyone's going to be together for an extended period of time, and your 2 families, the wife's kids from another marriage and his kids from another marriage are all coming. This is the one Christmas that they've decided, oh, let's go see them now. And this will be the most amazing thing you can do for your kids and your grandchildren and yourselves. You'll build a memory, and from this memory, it will give you the courage to step back from your employment. You got way enough money, and start doing stuff you really want to do, and slow down. And these 4 days up in this mountain, there is no cell tower up there. You can't have there's no cell signal. There is no internet. There is no television. Every room has a fireplace and is stocked with wood and has a very nice, little kitchen where they'll stick stuff there for you, so you can nosh, and you can bring food with you. Get the cookies from Mr. Moon here, and again, then the two of them are arm in arm, and they both start kissing, and you think they're about to have sex right there in Mr. Moon's. And Mr. Moon's looking at me like, "Oh, Al, you're doing it again." And and you know, I go over and get some coffee from Mr. Moon, and I come back, and the guy goes, "It's done." And I go, "What do you mean?" I went online, and it's 2 weeks before that weekend, and I got 6 rooms, connected, 6 suites connected to each other, and I've got the full package, and it's going to cost about a third of what we had budgeted for presents. And I said, and bring no presents, except maybe a little, stockings with, chocolate and candy canes and oranges, and maybe a little toy for the little ones. So they don't feel, but other than that, and bring a bag of gloves, socks, and hats in case it snows and they don't have them. And then everyone, get maybe gloves, socks, and hats for everybody. So now they will wear those, and every time they will put on those socks, they will have that memory refreshed. Anyway, and so they hugged and kissed me, and brought me, bought my breakfast, and again, I can't charge for this, but I can get, a tip, a gratuity, right? And you know what TIP stands for? To ensure proper service. Anyway, so they walked out, and they had Christmas, and they, when they walked out, they were hand in hand, and they got in their Mercedes, and they drove off slowly, just smiling at each other. And that's what Christmas is about. And that's what, when Christmas Eve and Christmas Day rolled around, and I was up here at the school, and the hill was like jumping with joy like a little puppy dog. That's what I kept seeing, their whole family together and having the best of amazing times. And that's what life's about, those memories. And with that, I will say I love you all. Let's see, what's on the bottom line of will it take me all the way down? Yes. Yep, Mohawk Erica. Thank you, Al. Be well. Cardinal points. Yep. And again, get a hold of me. I want to hear from all of you. I love reading the chats, but it's nice having just a you and me conversation, and Big Brother at the Dude Awake 42 Gmail. And if you're in America and you leave me your phone number, I'll give you a buzz. I love talking to you on the phone. And okay, we're getting close there. Oh, it's getting close. 33 seconds. I'm out of here. So 2 hours, 33 minutes, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. I love you guys. See you later tomorrow morning.